Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friends. So, this is a little bit different for some of these podcasts that are coming up. And I'm going to let you know that I was in this event called Podapalooza, which is like podcast speed dating. And it meant that I was all day long interviewing people to be on the podcast, which was amazing because I got to see a lot of really cool people quite quickly. So, because they were they're shorter interviews. They're only about 20 to 25 minutes. So we pack in a lot of information. And that means that I didn't get to delve into a lot of their story. So I'm going to give you an introduction. So this first person that I spoke to, her name is Jill Rosenthal, and she is an award-winning Harvard and Stanford educated physician. Like, that's pretty big. And she retired after 35 years to become certified as a wellness and mindset coach. And with her experience and training, along with what happened to her, and if you listen to the podcast, you'll hear what happened to her. She transformed from this really stressed, overworked, unhealthy physician, wife, mother, and she turned into this happy, healthy, thriving coach, making her uniquely equipped to help others to release their unconscious thoughts, their emotions, and the behaviors that hold them back, which makes her perfect for the podcast. I think you'll agree. It was great chatting with her, and she had some really great little tidbits for you. So have a listen to Jill, and pardon me, sorry about that. And of course, as always, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think. And there's some more coming, so stay tuned. Hello, friends. So, you know from the intro that this is a different vibe for me because I'm in Podapalooza and I'm doing like speed podcasting. But there's some awesome people who are coming to chat and share what they know with you. And I'm pretty excited about that. So, welcome to the podcast and welcome to Dr. Jill Rosenthal. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
It's so great to meet you. And we were just talking beforehand about your experiences and what you share with the world and why you're speaking about all these things. And I guess that actually leads into because I often ask people why they are doing what they're doing, but what you just told me kind of led you into the why. So maybe you can give us a little bit of that story of what led you into this, because that kind of encompasses everything right there.
Yeah, I actually became a coach by accident. I was a physician and I had a busy medical practice for 35 years and I loved it. I loved my patients. I adored my team. I loved what I was doing. But I was also like working 50 hours a week, getting paid for 32, and I was at the same time juggling, chronic problem with my foot that kind of impacted my mobility. I was taking care of my parents from 3,000 miles away. I lost both of them in a 2-year period. My
Wow.
husband is older and has Alzheimer's disease and had to go into then assisted living, now memory care, raising a teenager. I'm sure I'm leaving out a lot of stuff. And
That's a
then in
lot
the middle,
right there, really.
it's a lot right there. And then in the middle of all of that, while I was actually still on medical leave, recuperating from foot reconstruction, um, in February of 2018, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so basically, in a 2.5-year period, I had all of that surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, it was all compressed into 2.5 years. And the treatment for all of that ended up costing my career. I ended up with a medical disability, and I enrolled in some coaching programs to kind of help myself, and one of them I enrolled in a coaching certification program just to really help myself, not expecting to become a coach, but then discovering as I was doing it that I was made for it. It was
Right.
fulfilling. I was good at it. I was like, I have to do this. It wasn't like I might do this. It was that I had to do it. And so as my career in coaching evolved, it turned out that I didn't want what happened to me to happen to anybody else.
Right.
And if it had already, for example, they'd gotten cancer, which a number of my coaching clients have, um, they were still doing battle with it. And they were struggling at work, and they were struggling at home, and they were living in terror and anxiety about their cancer. And I was able to help them. I'm able to help them not have to live like that so
Right.
that they can let things go. Um, and it just turned out to be where I was meant to be. And,
Which
am
is
I sorry
amazing.
I got cancer? Of course I'm sorry I got cancer. I wish I hadn't gotten cancer. But I'm so, like, I wouldn't have met all the people I've met. I wouldn't have done all the things I've done. Like, I can't imagine my life without those things.
Right. And it is interesting that when I mean, one of my experiences, I had a stroke. And when I share that with people, everybody's like, oh my God, how terrible. And I'm sure you get that, oh my God, how terrible. You had all these things. And at the time, I'm sure you would say, I would not choose them, but they do give you a perspective that helps you kind of step out of that and see I mean, the lessons that you learned, I
Yeah,
guess, is what you're sharing with your clients, right?
yeah, nothing bothers me anymore. I mean, it literally, I've learned, I've been at this for a while, but, you know, things that might make other people go absolutely nuts, um, I see it, I hear it, and I'm like, I can process it and be okay. I'm not pushing it away.
Yeah,
Pushing it away and that's actually the thing that gets people in trouble. That's what lands us in this boat to begin with.
right.
It's actually fully feeling things and processing them and letting them go that makes all of the difference in the world. And it
So
applies
when
in
you're
every area of life.
Yeah. So when you're working with people, do you find there's a commonality of struggle or a commonality? I mean, the
Yeah,
human condition is the human condition, but do you find that, what am I trying to say here? It's like, do you see patterns, and is, is in some of those patterns, do you see common solutions, like when you're helping people, or
yeah,
is it more
totally.
individual?
There are a lot of things that people have in common. But I guess if I had to pick one thing, it's that we're we're so used to noticing all of the things that are happening around us, the circumstances, the people, what they say, what they do, all of this stuff, and we don't like it. It's not fair. And we judge it, and we also judge ourselves, by the way. But the thing is that if we realize that like it is what it is, and it can either bother you or not. And if it doesn't bother you, if that key doesn't fit in your lock, they can't open the door. And so that is kind of the secret. So a lot of it has to do with boundaries, a lot of it has to do with anger. A lot of the people I work with, they're living in fear and anger and resentment. And um, to the point where it becomes part of their identity,
Right,
right? Because, like, I'm supposed to be angry about this because if I'm not angry about it, then it means I'm saying it's okay.
right.
So we have this idea, so it becomes very hard to let go of, right? And it's habit. Um, but it turns out if you can actually work within your body, you can't just like cognitively push the stuff out. It doesn't, like, just understanding it is not, it's not enough for most people. You have to actually feel the feelings, feel the physical sensations, and let them go to completion. And so a lot of what I do is that kind of healing, and I do a whole bunch of different things. Some of it is just really working with the body sensation. Some of it is working with old patterns. You know, we all, as kids, as young children, develop um, behavior pattern, like brain programming based on our experiences and the things that people say to us, and some of it's our personality, but we develop coping mechanisms and we just get this brain programming, and then we travel along, and and it saved us in the moment we needed it, right? It protected us from something. But what protects you at 3 doesn't always work when you're 50, right?
No.
And so when you're 50 and you're thrust into an experience that triggers the same emotions, all of a sudden you're 3.
And you're acting like a
And
3-year-old.
you're acting like a 3-year-old without realizing it. And here's the problem. If the other person, they're also getting triggered. So then you have 2 3-year-olds in the room, and like there's no grown up there. And so a lot of what I do is kind of, I go back and I let them, like, they heal the inner, that inner child, that 3-year-old, and in doing so they heal their current self. And so the need got met. They're able to retire that coping mechanism, give it its gold watch, give it a plaque, give it a party, and say, I'm fine now, I don't need you anymore. And the coping mechanism at that point is free to go, because its purpose in life was to help you deal with something. And once it knows it's not needed anymore, it too is free to go. And it's very woo, especially
I'm
for
all
like
about the woo.
left brain scientist physician, but um, but it works like magic, and it works quickly. And so people are able to let go of stuff that they never would have imagined that they can let go of. And we don't need that stress. That stress causes cancer, it causes diabetes, it causes cardiovascular disease, it causes autoimmune disease, and it causes misery,
Right. And I think
suffering.
people almost normalize. It's like when you say to someone, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so
Busy.
stressed out."
Yeah. Busy.
Why?
Busy is a badge of honor, right?
Because we celebrate this work ethic. Like you got to work hard to achieve things. You have to work till your eyeballs bleed. I'm like, no, no, I'm not buying that one. Sorry. It's
Yeah.
like,
And it gets us into so much trouble because it hurts us, but it also hurts people around us in our relationships. I talked to one person who, she's really got this work ethic down. And so one of the things that bothers her at work is there are a couple of people who she sees as being lazy and
oh,
not wanting to work as hard. And whether or not that's true, the person who's being hurt by her feelings about that is not them, it's her. And
right,
so she's sort of, she was stuck in that because it, it's the way it's supposed to be. And to say it, in her work ethic, her value system, work hard, Puritan ethic, good, lazy, bad. And so realizing that that belief, valid as it might be, wasn't helping her,
right.
and she understood it here, right? But you have to understand it in your heart
Yeah.
and in your gut. And we go through life like that. We hold on to anger. We hold this at people for decades. They don't even remember that they did the thing. right?
right?
And, and yet we're suffering.
And I mean, it's interesting, like a bunch of quotes are popping in and out of my head. There's that quote from the Buddha: to know and not do is not yet to know. So it's like, intellectually something, but um, you don't actually know it if you haven't uh, um, integrated it. Do you know what I mean? It's like people say, I know smoking is bad for me, but their body's going, you don't actually know, or you wouldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Right. That's the kind of I originally started my coaching career as a weight loss coach, and
Oh,
I
wow.
was helping with getting rid of cravings and emotional eating and sabotage, which, by the way, is really just your brain trying to protect you. And it turns out there are reasons why we do these things. And if you heal the reasons that make people, not wanting to not smoke is different than simply not wanting to smoke.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Wanting to not overeat is different than having no desire to overeat. And
definitely.
same thing for the other things that we do, trying to get yourself to go to bed before 1 in the morning when you have to get up at 6, right? You do it,
Yeah.
but it's hard.
And
And
I find it interesting, like one of the things that I'll always call people on, and is, they say, well, I can't help it, I'm powerless. But that's that's like giving the responsibility for your life to something outside of you, which
yes,
I usually call
and
bullshit on.
I
In
have
a gentle way.
trouble with that one too. And a lot of my clients, like my weight loss clients that, and I still have some, but that was what they complained to me about. Like they would go to Overeaters Anonymous, and the first thing you had to do, and this is true in a lot of 12-step programs, is, admit you're powerless over the thing. And I want them to be in control of the thing, not
Yeah.
the other way around. But it's not that simple. And it's not just a matter of saying, no, I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to drink that. I'm not going to smoke that. I'm going to stop online shopping. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to like, it's not just in here that it takes more because it's not sustainable
No, no. It
unless
has to
you feel
be like a deep seated, it's not a brain thing. It's like a deep seated desire, which is more a body thing, right? An emotional thing.
it is. Yeah. And a lot of the kind of everything is a choice, right? And we do have control. It's just that we don't feel that we do.
Right.
And so, recognizing that if you do something, you did choose to do it. Nobody else forced you onto the couch and tied you up and made you stay up until 1 in the morning watching TV, right? Nobody forced you to fool around when you were supposed to be, writing your content or doing whatever it is you need to do for
Were
your
you
work.
watching me doing my soda crush game? Like, come on.
But like nobody forces you to, but we feel like compelled to do these things. And
Definitely.
so um it doesn't feel like we have a choice. But the fact is, we do. And unless you realize that you have a choice, it's like if somebody's deciding to do something or not do something, like if your decision is based on fear, like if you can't say yes to something, then your no means nothing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, like opening up so that people realize that they actually do have a choice is
And I
what you
feel
need
like
to
we've
do.
been trained since small children that you don't have a choice. You have to,
Exactly.
all the decisions are made for you and you just blindly follow along.
Yes.
So you can see
Because
where
that's
it's
what we did
come
as young
from.
kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why doing this work with the inner 2, 3, 4-year-old is so important. When we are little kids, um, we people do tell us what to do, and we don't have
Try to.
autonomy. And one of the basic human needs is to, we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, we want to, like, we have to fit in. If we're not accepted by our parents, the community, then we die. So it's a survival thing. And so we learn very early on that we just do what we're told. And even though you say, well, 2-year-olds say no all the time, right? Well, yeah, they do because it's all they hear.
Yeah.
But when they say no, they still don't get their way. So then what they learn is they say no and they just get steamrolled anyway saying no. And we are raised to be rule followers in order to fit in with family, in school, in society, and especially for women. And then what happens is you eventually get to this point where um, all you know how to do is follow the rules. And it works okay if you have a job where all you have to do is follow the rules,
Right.
right? But then when you do something different, say you leave your job for hire and you start a company,
Yeah.
and all of a
You got to
sudden
learn it all over again.
nobody's telling you what to do. And furthermore, you've been trained to rebel against anybody who tells you what to do. The difference is now it's you telling you, and you're still like, you can't make me do that. You're not the boss of me. And so you can see how, we get stuck in this bind. And
Yeah.
so helping people get out of that bind is,
Oh my goodness.
it's such a joy to me to be able to, like, I get on a call with somebody and they're like totally stuck at the beginning. And then they're like, okay, I'm ready to go do this thing now.
Let's get unstuck. So,
Yeah.
where can people find you?
So they can find me at drjillrosenthal.com.
It'll be in the show notes. So,
That's,
if
yeah,
they
that's
can't,
the
yeah.
website. And I have a couple of possible gifts. I don't know which would be more, your audience better. I have a thing about getting unstuck that they might like. I have a thing about boundaries, about like
Ooh,
31 simple, quick activities you can do to establish boundaries. And
let's go
my
for
intuition
boundaries.
was telling me that that was the one. And if anybody wants both of them, they can just get hold of me. But
Yeah.
what I had written down, on my list to offer was that one. And
Yeah.
I can tell
Boundaries
you
would
the
be
link, or
amazing.
I'll send it to you. But if you want, I can tell it to you as well because it's easy to remember.
Oh, tell me. And I'm going to put it in the
Um,
show notes
Yeah,
and send it to me.
it's yeah, drjillgift.com/boundaries,
There you go. That's easy.
and I can
Now,
send it to you.
if
But
my
that one
friends are if my friends are driving, don't text and drive.
No, that's why I make it easy. That's why I make it
Yeah,
easy to
exactly.
remember. That's why I make it easy to remember. But that one has a month's worth of ways to help you get your life back.
That's amazing. And having boundaries will take people so far, like
Yeah,
into
yeah.
shifting.
And
And
some of the, yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, some of it is kind of habits to do. Some of it's personal boundaries, some of it's work, some of it's habits, but some of it is highly leveraged, one and done. You do this once and you never have to think about it again.
Okay, then I'm definitely going to download it.
So um, I love working with people on their boundaries because a lot of what we do boils down to, because it really is, it's like stuff comes. How do you think about it? How do you feel about it? That all boils to how does it affect you? And of a lot of ways the common
Right.
denominator
Yeah,
And so lately, that's so much of what I've been working on with.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
It
Um,
was great to.
before we head off, I always give my guests the final word of wisdom. If you have some final thought to share.
Um, I guess that you are here. You're here to speak your truth and to live your life that you can build whatever life you want. You might need some guidance in how to do it, but like you can have what you want. And you can make it happen. You can do this. You just have to be, you have to like take off the blindfold and see what's there and make it happen.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what I love doing with people, freeing
Amazing.
them.
Thank you so much. I love this. Excellent words of wisdom. Clap, clap, clap. Friends in podcast land, download that thing, the boundaries thing, because I know you're going to love it. Share, go visit Dr. Jill and leave us some comments so that we can get back to you and hear what you have to say. And of course, as always, take care of yourself, my friends. And we'll see you next time. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day. And I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.